Akabo wa Akatu. This is Daku, and today we want to share with you how integration devastates black economics. Because we keep talking about our problem being that we haven't developed economically, and for some reason we aren't able to do so. But we have in our history, as Nettercat pointed out on one of his videos, that after slavery we built 100 black towns. Today we're just going to talk about one of these towns. Alright? We're going to talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood, Black Wall Street. Alright? And today we're going to remember what Dick Gregory told us to do, and that is to connect the dots. We're going to connect the dots today. Because after much study, after hearing King Noble's response to, I don't know if it was the mayor there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in which he was saying that we shouldn't accept his apology for what happened there. The terror, as I like to call it, the terror in Tulsa, that we shouldn't accept his apology. After studying, after reading, after looking at that video, after doing some research, after meditating and reflecting, we're going to share this information that we got today, and we're going to connect the dots that we were inspired to connect by our thinking, critical analytical thinking, meditation, and reflection. Okay? Now, first we want to point out that, first of all, we had a Black Wall Street. Alright? One of the most wealthiest towns in the nation. Okay? Now, in this race riot that occurred in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 35 square blocks of homes and businesses were torched by mobs of angry whites. Now, we got to stop right there. We said 35 square blocks of homes and what? Businesses were torched. Let's go down here and see how many businesses were destroyed and how quickly they were destroyed. On the evening of May the 31st, 1921, whites flooded into Greenwood District and destroyed the businesses and homes of African American residents. No one was exempt from the violence of the white mobs. Men, women, and even children were killed by the mobs. Over 600 successful businesses were lost. Look, we said 600. According to some sources, and if you read further, it'll tell you that other sources say that 1,000. That's right. That was the American Red Cross that estimated that 1,000 homes and businesses were destroyed. 1,000. But it says that over 600 successful businesses were lost. Among these were 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, a hospital, a bank, a post office, libraries, schools, law offices, a half dozen private airplanes, and even a bus system. I wonder how many businesses you got in your black community today. Remember, this was in 35 square blocks. I wonder how many black businesses you got today in your entire city. They had 600 successful businesses in 35 square blocks. Let's go on down and see what else this thing has to say. It says, without begging for reparations or even justice, blacks rebuilt Black Wall Street within 5 years of the terror in Tulsa. Okay, let's see. I think what I want to do now is we want to go to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and see what he has to say about integration and economics.
It over and over again in the struggle for civil rights. Many cities, in fact more than 275 cities in the South, have integrated their lunch counters and other facilities since 1960. And on the whole, these businesses have increased in terms of their income rather than decreased.
Okay, you heard what Dr. King said about the benefit on white economics, how it benefited from integration. But let's see what happened to Black Wall Street. It says, without begging for reparations or even justice, blacks rebuilt Black Wall Street within 5 years of the terror in Tulsa. However, the neighborhood fell prey to an economic and population drain in the 1960s due to what? Integration. It says much of the area was leveled during urban renewal in the early 1970s to make way for a goddamn highway loop around the downtown district. So, did integration benefit us? I don't think so. Not economically. So, as we said earlier, we meditated on the history of Black Wall Street, which was built in 1910. And as Dick Gregory taught us to connect the dots, we said, damn, let's connect the dots here. How old is the NAACP? Well, ironically, I guess you'll say, the NAACP was started in the same 12 months as Black Wall Street. It was founded in New York City by a group of biracial activists and is the nation's oldest civil rights organization. One often overlooked aspect of the NAACP's history is that the Jewish community contributed hugely to the NAACP's founding and continued financing. The NAACP was united in its opposition to the preaching of Booker T. Washington, who urged blacks to accept segregation. Booker T. Washington urged blacks to accept segregation. One more time. Booker T. Washington urged blacks to accept segregation. It says, united in its opposition to the preaching of Booker T. Washington, who urged blacks to accept segregation, the NAACP first sought to make whites aware of the need for racial equality. The organization launched a program of speech making, lobbying, publicizing the issue of racial discrimination and inequality in housing, education, employment, voting, and transportation. But wait a minute, let's go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Did we not say that we had over 600 successful businesses in this one town in a 35 square block area? Okay, we had 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores. Do you even have one grocery store that's black owned today? 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, a hospital, a bank, a post office, library, schools, law offices, and a half dozen private airplanes, and even a bus system. Did integration help us economically, or did it help the white man economically? Integration benefited white economics and devastated black economics. This has been Daku Akabo Wa'akatu.